They really big, like absolutely massive, hundreds of tons, dozens of meters long. Dinosaurs are renowned for their sheer size, but why were some species so gigantic? Hi, it's me and this is my channel. We've been fascinated by dinosaurs for over 200 years since the first dinosaur fossils were discovered in 1824. And while we've learned a lot about these ancient reptiles, including some pretty interesting facts like the T-Rex having feathers, we still have a lot to learn. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding dinosaurs is how they grew so big. I mean, even the smallest sauropods like the one nicknamed Sue were truly enormous. How do you even get that big without being a whale or something? Well, scientists have a few ideas. Now, if you want to understand the science behind just how big dinosaurs got, we need to first talk about their skeletal structure. I know it sounds kind of boring, but trust me, it's kind of cool. Okay, so all vertebrate animals have a basic skeletal structure called a vertebral column or simply a backbone. Now, this vertebral column is made up of smaller bones called vertebrae. And when all these bones are put together, they form a strong central column that supports the body and allows for movement. So this vertebral column extends from the skull at the head all the way down to the tip of the tail. Now, different groups of vertebrates have evolved slightly different ways of building their backbones. For example, mammals tend to have more flexible spines than reptiles because our vertebrae are connected by discs of connective tissue that allow for more movement. But anyway, this vertebral column is also segmented. Each segment has a pair of ribs attached to it that form a protective cage around the body. And this rib cage helps support the body and protect internal organs like the heart and lungs. And in most animals, this rib cage is relatively small compared to the rest of their body, but dinosaurs had giant rib cages. This probably helped support their massive bodies and allowed them to grow bigger than other animals. Now, this isn't the only thing that set dinosaurs apart. They also had incredibly strong legs and feet. You've seen those videos of paleontologists trying to stand up on their tippy toes. Their feet weren't even meant to support their weight, let alone run around. Dinosaur legs were longer and thicker than other reptiles, which helped distribute their weight more evenly and supported their enormous frames. In fact, the bones inside the legs were hollow, which made them lighter without sacrificing strength. Pretty neat evolutionary trick, right? But their leg bones were also thicker towards the bottom where they connected to the feet. This would have made it easier for them to balance themselves and probably helped prevent them from toppling over. And finally, their feet were flat with a strong arch, kinda like ours, which would have helped absorb shock and make walking and running more comfortable. Okay, so that's the scaffolding that allowed dinosaurs to reach such great heights: the vertebral column, the ribs, and the legs. But what actually built those huge bones? What caused them to grow so large? Well, it all comes down to cells, specifically bone marrow. Bone marrow is a soft tissue found inside the cavities of bones. It looks like a thick liquid and it's responsible for producing blood cells and storing fat, but there's more. Bone marrow contains special cells called osteoblasts, which are in charge of building bone tissue. When a dinosaur was young, its bone marrow contained lots of active osteoblasts that would have allowed it to grow quickly and reach its adult size. And as the dinosaur aged, the amount of osteoblasts in its bone marrow would have decreased, slowing down its growth and eventually stopping it altogether. But here's the twist: some species of dinosaurs had two distinct growth periods. Take a look at this graph. Notice how there are two spikes, meaning two growth spurts. Scientists think that this is because some dinosaurs didn't just grow once, but twice during their lifetime. For example, Diplodocuses probably started out small, then stopped growing, then began growing again later on. But why would they stop growing in the first place? It could be related to sexual maturity. Many animals stop growing when they reach sexual maturity, and it looks like dinosaurs were no exception. And not only did they have to growth spurts, but their second growth spurt lasted longer and reached higher weights than their first. But the weirdest part, the second growth spurt seems to have been more pronounced in females than in males. So basically, female dinosaurs grew faster and bigger than males during the last growth spurt. But why? Scientists aren't exactly sure, but it might have something to do with reproduction. Maybe bigger females were better mothers. There are a lot of unanswered questions about dinosaur growth, but this data suggests that their growth wasn't a one-and-done deal. Instead, it was a multi-phase process that may have been influenced by sexual selection. So, to recap, the secret behind the giants lies in their unique anatomy and growth patterns. Their giant rib cages and robust legs provided structural support for their massive bodies, while their specialized feet ensured stability during movement. And their bone marrow played a crucial role in their growth, with osteoblasts driving the development of larger bones. Furthermore, the two distinct growth spurts exhibited by some species suggest a more complex growth pattern influenced by sexual maturity and potentially sexual selection. Now, all of this brings us back to the original question: why were some species of dinosaurs so huge? Why did they evolve to be so dang big? Well, the answer is probably pretty complicated and will take a lot more research. But scientists have a few guesses. First off, there's the food availability hypothesis. This idea says that the abundance of plants in the late Triassic period, right before the dinosaurs took over, provided ample food for large animals. Basically, the food was good and plentiful, so why not grow big? Then there's the predation hypothesis. This idea says that the size of a dinosaur's head and jaws was directly related to the size of its body. So, as the dinosaur got bigger, its head and jaws got bigger too, allowing it to eat more and grow even bigger. Finally, there's the climate hypothesis. This idea says that the warm climate of the late Triassic allowed dinosaurs to grow big because they didn't have to worry about staying warm. In fact, they could bask in the sun and get plenty of energy from that too. But these are just hypotheses. Scientists haven't figured out why dinosaurs grew so big yet. So who knows? Maybe they were just destined to be giants. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below. What other prehistoric critters should I cover next? And remember, be excellent to each other.